Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. US-Ukraine agree on critical minerals deal. President Zelensky expected to visit US later this week to sign agreement. According to sources, mediators reach a deal to release Palestinian prisoners for Israeli hostages' bodies. Handover is likely to take place under Egyptian supervision. Release date, details awaited. At least 18 people killed and several others injured after tour bus falls into ditch in Thailand's Prachinburi province. Final holy bath or snan at Maha Kumbh 2025 today. Millions of devotees reach Prayagraj to take dip at the three-river confluence, Triveni Sangam. The US and Ukraine have agreed on the terms of a draft minerals deal central to Kyiv's push to win Washington's support as President Donald Trump seeks to rapidly end the conflict with Russia.
The United States and Ukraine have reached a deal providing access to the European country's rare earth minerals and other natural resources. At the White House, US President Donald Trump has said Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky wants to come to Washington on Friday to sign a very big deal. This came after the two leaders exchanged hostile words last week.
Is it true that President Zelensky is coming on Friday to meet with you, and is the mineral deal sorted out?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly, it's okay with me if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me, and I understand that's a big deal, very big deal. And I think the American people, even if you look at polling, they're very happy because, Biden was throwing money around like it's cotton candy. And it's a very big deal. Look, it could be $1 trillion deal, it could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting. A war that should have never, ever happened. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president.
The deal would see the United States jointly develop Ukraine's mineral wealth, with revenues going to a newly created fund that would be joint for Ukraine and America. As Zelensky said, Ukraine had Europe's largest reserves of titanium, essential for the aviation and space industry, and uranium, used for nuclear energy and weapons. Now let us know why rare earth minerals are important. 17 silvery white rare earth minerals are not uncommon in the Earth's crust. Deposits that are economically viable are more difficult to find. The complex process separates materials for permanent magnets used in critical products. Russia has proposed to the Trump administration a potential agreement under which the United States would gain some ownership of rare earth minerals. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Tuesday that Russia had lots of rare earth metal deposits and that it was open to doing deal to develop them. Earlier, Putin also said that Russia was open to joint projects with American partners, including the government and the private sectors, under a future Russia-US economic deal. Bureau Report, DD India.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron praised US President Donald Trump for working towards a durable peace in Ukraine. A spokesperson for Starmer's office said both leaders spoke over the phone and reiterated Ukraine must be at the heart of any peace negotiations and that Europe was ready to play its part. Macron met Trump on Monday and Starmer will travel to Washington this week. Meanwhile, Macron and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also spoke by telephone, both leaders said in social media posts. Macron, writing on X, said efforts were continuing to achieve a solid and lasting peace in Ukraine, while Zelensky thanked Macron for his support in his nightly video address. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Tuesday he would host a number of world leaders for talks about Ukraine this weekend. Starmer also said he had spoken to French President Emmanuel Macron following his return from Washington, where he met US President Donald Trump. He added that an increase in defence spending would maximise British jobs and growth, and described it as an opportunity to rebuild the country's industrial base.
I am hosting a number of countries at the weekend for us to continue to discuss how we go forward together as allies in light of the situation that we face. The conflict in Ukraine is about the sovereignty of Ukraine. It's also about security and defence in Europe and our security and defence. And the first duty of government is to ensure that its citizens are secure, and that is why I'm taking that as a matter of duty and responsibility today.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Saudi Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman at the State Department in Washington, D.C. The two leaders discussed the importance of the US-Saudi partnership, ways to jointly promote regional stability, including Red Sea security and freedom of navigation. The visit comes as Saudi Arabia hosted a high-level US and Russian officials meeting to discuss the conflict in Ukraine and efforts to restore broader Russia-US ties. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian on Tuesday while on a visit to Tehran. During his one-day trip to the country, Lavrov discussed regional and bilateral topics with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, state media reported. His visit comes a day after the United States imposed fresh round of sanctions targeting Iran's oil industry. Lavrov said he was sure that the diplomatic measures were still on the table when it came to resolving issues around Iran's nuclear program. Egyptian mediators have brokered a deal to swap Palestinian prisoners for the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages. According to sources, it was confirmed that the agreement is part of its ceasefire deal with Israel. Tensions rose when Hamas accused Israel of jeopardizing the Gaza truce by delaying prisoner releases. Since the January 19 ceasefire, Hamas has freed 25 Israeli hostages in public ceremonies, sparking criticism from Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu, who called them humiliating. The Red Cross has urged all parties to conduct prisoner exchanges privately and with dignity. While both sides have accused each other of violating the ceasefire, it has largely held since coming into effect. Meanwhile, thousands of Israelis gathered in the Rishon LeZion city on Wednesday to honor Shiri Pepas and her 2 young sons during their funeral procession on Wednesday. Shiri and her children were kidnapped during the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. Israel's army radio reported last week that Pepas and the kids were likely killed while in captivity. The Israeli army said it carried out airstrikes targeting military sites containing weapons in southern Syria on Tuesday. And just days after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called for demilitarizing the area. The strikes targeted command centers and weapons storage sites. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had called for the demilitarization of southern Syria just days earlier. The Israeli military views the presence of military forces in southern Syria as a threat to its citizens. The strikes hit sites near Damascus and Dara province, including a strategic hilltop overlooking the Golan and northern Israel. A major power outage plunged much of Chile into darkness on Tuesday, disrupting daily life for millions across the country. The blackout, described as the worst in over a decade, stretched from Arica in the north to Los Lagos in the south. This highly unusual blackout has caused chaos across the country. Here's a report. A massive power outage across Chile plunged the country's capital Santiago into darkness on Tuesday and knocked out electricity to major copper mines in the country's north, buffeting global metal markets. The blackout, the worst in more than a decade, struck in the mid-afternoon, shutting down the Santiago metro and forcing thousands to evacuate. Chile's government announced a state of emergency and established a curfew hours after the outage began and as darkness fell. Chile's President Gabriel Boric flied over Santiago in a helicopter as the country suffers electricity blackout. Addressing the nation on TV, President Boric said 8 million homes had been affected, but power had been restored to about half of them.
De los 8 millones de hogares.
At this time, of the 8 million households that were without electricity, 41,50,000 have been gradually regaining power, but in an unstable way. We will continue monitoring the situation so that power companies rectify power services for each of the households in Chile as soon as possible, because we know that the situation is still unstable. I made the decision to declare a state of emergency due to incidents in the regions of Arica, Parinacota and Los Lagos. In addition, there will be curfews in the same region starting from 10 p.m. today, lasting until 6 a.m. on Wednesday.
Esta situación sigue siendo inestable.
Internet and mobile phone services were down across much of the nation, and parts of Santiago's transport network was suspended, stranding commuters as officials scrambled to restore power. The National Service for Disaster Prevention and Response said earlier that the outage stretched from the regions of Arica and Parinacota in the north to Los Lagos in south.
We want to inform that the National Committee for Risk and Disaster Management has been convened to monitor the power outage affecting regions from Arica and Parinacota to Los Lagos. We are working to determine the cause of the outage and its impacts. We will provide updates in the coming minutes as more information becomes available.
The government ruled out an attack or sabotage as the reason for the power loss in the middle of Southern Hemisphere summer. The government said that a system failure was more likely to be the cause of the situation. Chile has one of the best power networks in South America and hasn't experienced a blackout this severe in about 15 years. In 2010, a power plant failure in southern Chile left hundreds of thousands in darkness for hours. Bureau Report, DD India. The United Nations has warned that more than 6,000 people in Haiti have been forced from their homes by gang violence in almost a month, hampering aid efforts by humanitarian agencies. The UN-approved MSS has around 1,000 personnel from 6 nations, though mostly from Kenya, out of 2,500 initially expected. One Kenyan officer died after being shot on Sunday. UN officials have repeatedly called for more support for the mission and a surge of resources to the nation, where an estimated 1 million people have been displaced by the violence. And still to come on DD India News Hour. US President Donald Trump has proposed replacing the existing investor visa program with a new gold card. What is it? Stay tuned to know more. Friedrich Merz is most likely to become Germany's next chancellor as Heart Coalition talks loom. China accuses Taiwan of manipulating undersea cables. Taiwan suspects China's role in latest cable severing.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
US President Donald Trump will host the first official cabinet meeting at the White House on Wednesday. This will be Trump's first full cabinet gathering since returning to White House for the second term. Presidential advisor Elon Musk will also be present at Donald Trump's first official cabinet meeting on Wednesday. Musk has no ministerial portfolio or formal decision-making authority but has status as a special government employee and senior advisor to the president. He is heading the Department of Government Efficiency, tasked by the president with slashing federal spending. US President Donald Trump has proposed replacing the existing investor visa program with a new gold card that would offer a path to citizenship for $5 million. Speaking to reporters, Trump said he plans to replace the EB-5 immigrant investor visa, which grants green cards to foreigners investing in US businesses, with the gold card system. The current EB-5 program allows foreign investors to gain permanent residency by creating or preserving US jobs.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold, so they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens.
The Republican-led U.S. House of Representatives has advanced President Donald Trump's tax cut and border security agenda, marking a key step toward his 2025 priorities. This move lays the groundwork for extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts, with the resolution now heading to the Senate, where Republicans are expected to take it up next. Around a third of staffers at Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency have resigned in a protest on Tuesday, saying that they will not push through demanded changes that put the country at risk. The mass resignation came days after Musk engineered a mass email to the federal government's 2 million workers, ordering them to justify their work in an email or risk being fired. The workers initially worked for the United States Digital Service, which was transformed into Doge after President Donald Trump took office on January 20th, with Musk effectively taking over the department. The signatories describe a chaotic transition process that began on January 21 with hastily conducted interviews by unidentified individuals wearing White House visitor badges. Tensions escalated on February 14 when approximately one-third of USD's staff were abruptly terminated via anonymous email. Canada's Liberal Party conducted a final debate among its 4 leadership candidates vying to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. US President Donald Trump took the limelight during a televised debate between candidates in the Canadian political race. Chrystia Freeland, Mark Carney, Karina Gould and Frank Baylis discussed key themes including Canada's global role, economic growth, affordability and healthcare. This English debate follows Monday's French language debate where Canada-US relations took center stage.
I'm going to go fly down and meet President Sheinbaum of Mexico. It's a very strong, smart lady. And I'm going to make a deal with her and say, look, we need to stand up together to Mr. Trump. He said he's putting 25% tariffs on both of us. He can't do that. It'll destroy his economy. So we need to call his bluff. And then what we need to do is take off the table what was already given for nothing.
Trump is posing the gravest challenge our country has faced since the Second World War. He's threatening us with economic warfare. That's not new. Last time, he threatened to rip up NAFTA, and he imposed tariffs on our steel and aluminum. I fought back, and I won. This time, Trump's threats are even worse. He wants to make us the 51st state. Trump is unleashed and empowered. As your Prime Minister, I will be too.
During the French debate, candidates presented themselves as best equipped to handle relations with US President Donald Trump. The party recently disqualified Ruby Dalla for violating campaign rules. Canada's Liberal Party will announce its new leader on March 9. Germany's potential chancellor and leader of the Conservative Party, Friedrich Merz, has ruled out an immediate reform of the country's borrowing limits, known as the debt brake.
Ich kann das weder bestätigen noch
It is out of the question in the near future that we will reform the debt brake. If it happens at all, it will be quite extensive and difficult work that needs to be done. I've also read that there is already speculation about a special fund. We are talking to each other, but it is far too early to say anything about it now.
Bereits spekuliert wird.
Merz Conservatives secured victory in the national elections but fell short of a majority. They now face complex coalition talks and a more divided parliament after a surge in the support for far-right AfD party.
Und zum Thema Schuldenbremse habe ich
I'm also prepared to take on this leadership responsibility in the government as Federal Chancellor. But all this requires a well-negotiated coalition agreement with the Social Democrats. I'm still assuming that we can negotiate a good coalition agreement with the Social Democrats and that we can do this within a reasonable period of time, so that we really do have a government with a majority in the German parliament by Easter.
zu führen. Sie wissen, dass ich dazu.
All right, let's go across to Thomas Sparrow, a correspondent with our partners DW in Berlin, to talk more on the story. Hi, Thomas. Germany's next chancellor will likely be Friedrich Merz. So what can we expect?
Friedrich Merz will most likely be Germany's next chancellor. And I say most likely because he obviously first has to look for a coalition partner and form a coalition, a process which could take some time. But if everything goes according to his plans, he will be Germany's next leader, replacing Olaf Scholz from the Social Democrats. Friedrich Merz is 69 years old and he would become Germany's oldest chancellor in decades. And his political career within the CDU-CSU has been actually a very interesting one because he was a member of parliament until 2009. Then he left politics altogether to enter the business sector and returned in 2021. And that space where he left active politics had to do with the fact that his main rival within the CDU-CSU conservative bloc was none other than Angela Merkel, who would then become German Chancellor for 16 years. What you can expect from Friedrich Merz is that he will move his party from the center-right more towards the right of the political spectrum. Whereas Angela Merkel had shifted her party to the center, it's expected that Friedrich Merz will shift the party more towards the right, for example, on issues like migration, specifically how to target irregular migration, how to limit the number of irregular migrants that come to Germany. An important question for Friedrich Merz is what kind of concessions he's willing to make when he is looking for those coalition partners in the next few days and in the next few weeks. He has indicated that he would like to have a fast coalition negotiation, but that will also determine to what extent he will be a strong chancellor and to what extent he will be able to pass some of his most important policies once he's in office.
All right, Thomas, what role will the AfD play in Germany going forward?
There's no doubt that the AfD has cemented its influence as Germany's main opposition party by achieving 20% of the vote, by doubling its result compared to 2021. It is clear that the AfD will play an important role in German politics coming in the next few years. It doesn't mean that they will be governing or that they will have power, because what is clear is that Friedrich Merz, and by the way, all other parties in parliament have vowed that they will not cooperate with the AfD, that they will not form coalitions with the AfD. The AfD candidate, Alice Weidel, has actually said that she would be willing to negotiate with Friedrich Merz, that she would be willing to discuss possible coalitions, but that is something that Friedrich Merz has clearly ruled out, saying that it is not in his party's interest and that basically the CDU-CSU and the AfD have very little in common. So the most likely scenario for the AfD is that they will be a strong party in opposition. And it's interesting to actually note that they're also strongest in the eastern part of the country. That is also a region where they will have considerable influence in political decisions. But again, from the opposition, not from a position of government.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll leave it there. In a tragic incident, at least 18 people were killed after a tour bus lost control and fell into a ditch in Thailand's Prachinburi province. The vehicle was one of 3 double-decker buses carrying local government officials on a field trip when it veered off the road in Prachinburi province, east of the capital Bangkok. A total of 49 people were on board when the bus crashed. Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra expressed her condolences to the victims' families and said an investigation was taking place, particularly into vehicle safety. Thailand has one of the worst road safety records in the world. Unsafe vehicles and poor driving are major factors contributing to the high toll. Last year, a school bus caught fire due to a gas cylinder leak, killing 23 people, including 16 students. Now, China has accused Taiwan of manipulating the issue of a severed undersea communications cable, dismissing the island's concerns and insisting that the facts are not clear yet. Taiwan's Coast Guard detained a China-linked cargo ship on Tuesday after a nearby undersea cable to the Fenghu Islands in Taiwan Strait was found disconnected. China downplayed the incident, calling undersea cable damage a common maritime accident that occurs over 100 times a year globally.
There are over 100 incidents of submarine optical cables incurring damage that happen around the world every year, which is a common maritime accident. While the basic facts and the people responsible for the accident have not yet been clarified, the Democratic Progressive Party authorities have deliberately exaggerated the situation in an attempt at political manipulation, which will not enjoy popular support.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited the Kangkong Military Academy, according to a footage of state television KRT. During the visit, Kim interacted with the trainees at the academy and called for building a strong army laced with modern warfare techniques to brace for any kind of war. The visit comes after North Korea has sent thousands of troops to Russia to support its war against Ukraine. It is assumed that Kim's visit to military institutions may be a part of preparing for additional military dispatch to Russia. And South Korea's birth rate rose in 2024 for the first time in a decade, bucking a trend for a country battling a demographic crisis. According to Statistics Korea, the country's fertility rate stood at 0.75 in 2024. In 2023, the birth rate fell for the 8th consecutive year to 0.72, the lowest in the world, from 1.24 in 2015, raising concerns over the economic shock to a society from such a rapid pace. South Korea has one of the world's longest life expectancies and lowest birth rates, a combination that presents a looming demographic challenge. Seoul has poured billions of dollars into efforts to encourage women to have more children in order to maintain population stability. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. In response to extreme heat waves and increasing derailments, a railway company in Sao Paulo is painting tracks white to reflect sunlight and lower steel temperatures. Via Mobilidade found white paint reduces track temperature by 6 degrees Celsius. The move follows a derailment in Rio de Janeiro caused by 71 degrees Celsius track temperatures, with 35 kilometers of tracks to be painted. The initiative aims to mitigate risks in a climate experiencing record high temperatures. An upsurge can be seen among the black community in Georgia, USA, where the number of students opting for homeschooling has risen from 3% to 20% since 2020, as confirmed by the National Home Education Research Institute. This upswing aligns with US President Donald Trump's executive order promoting parental choice in school selection, issued in January, shortly after he took office. Hong Kong has officially launched its first locally developed generative AI model, HKGAI-V1, developed by a team from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and sponsored by the government. The model is based on the state-developed DeepSeek open-source large language model. It can recompose songs, generate AI singers, create videos from photos, and support Cantonese, English, and Standard Mandarin. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The festival of Mahashivratri celebrated with religious fervor and gaiety in India. Search for trapped workers intensifies after tunnel collapsed in Telangana. Dharma Garden, a joint military exercise between India and Japan, kicked off at Mount Fuji.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of headlines. US-Ukraine agree on a critical minerals deal. President Zelensky expected to visit US later this week to sign agreement. According to sources, mediators reach a deal to release Palestinian prisoners for Israeli hostages' bodies. Handover is likely to take place under Egyptian supervision. Release date details awaited. At least 18 people killed and several others injured after tour bus falls into ditch in Thailand's Prachinburi province. The grand spectacle of Maha Kumbh 2025, the world's largest religious gathering, is coming to an end on Wednesday on the occasion of Mahashivratri. Since its commencement on January 13, millions of devotees have taken the holy dip at Triveni Sangam, the confluence of river Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. Even on final day, waves of devotees continue to arrive in Prayagraj, eager to be part of this sacred event. The grand Mahashivratri celebrations today further elevate the spiritual significance of the day as devotees worship Lord Shiva. Temples across India, including Kashi Vishwanath, Mahakaleshwar and Kedarnath, are witnessing massive footfalls, aligning with the culmination of this once-in-12-year event. The spirit of Mahashivratri, a night of unique planetary alignment, reflects on India's timeless devotion to Lord Shiv as devotees across state unite in faith and celebration. In Varanasi, the much-revered Sri Kashi Vishwanath temple witnessed a massive influx of devotees as flower petals were showered upon them. The day began with a grand Mangal Aarti, filling the temple premises with divine energy. Similarly, in Ujjain, thousands gathered at Sri Mahakaleshwar Jyotirling temple, where an elaborate aarti was performed. The spiritual fervor extended to Haridwar, where the Daksheshwar Mahadev temple saw an overwhelming crowd of devotees, aligning perfectly with the ongoing Mahakumbh 2025. Pilgrims, having taken the holy dip in the Ganges, proceeded to seek the blessings of Lord Shiv. The Sri Tapkeshwar Mahadev temple in Dehradun also witnessed thousands offering prayers. From Mumbai's Sri Babulnath temple to Bhubaneswar's Lingaraj temple, the wave of devotion spread across the country. In Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu, devotees performed Jalabhishek on the Shivling, while in Hyderabad and Surat, temple premises echoed with chants of Har Har Mahadev. The festival holds special significance this year as it marks the conclusion of Mahakumbh 2025. Lakhs of pilgrims, after participating in Mahakumbh 2025 in Prayagraj, are offering prayers to Lord Shiva. All right, and DD India correspondent Yogesh Sheetal is joining us live from Nasik. Hi Yogesh, a very good afternoon to you. And it's an auspicious occasion, of course, Mahashivratri. What is the latest you are getting for us? How are people celebrating Mahashivratri in Nasik?
Hi Siddhartha, happy Mahashivratri to all our viewers also. I would like to give you a glimpse. You can see behind me how the pilgrims are just standing in queue waiting for their number to take darshan of Lord Shiva, because since morning we have seen thousands of devotees have visited this place and thousands of people have already left and thousands are still in the queue. So coming to management, not only from the police side, administration side, but also from the trust side, adequate arrangements have been made to ensure that there is no issue to be faced by the people, especially for the women, because we have seen a scorching heat also at this point in time. Also, let me tell you, Nashik, when we talk about Tramkeshwar, it is a very unique spiritual things where we can feel the convergence of all three energies, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. And especially on this occasion when we are celebrating Mahashivratri, for the night long celebration, you can see the decoration also, the hanging lights are there that will be illuminated after the sunset. So the similar, as we see in marriage
All right, we are trying to reconnect with our correspondent Yogesh Sheetal, who is joining us from Nashik. Meanwhile, the revered Pashupatinath temple in Nepal is witnessing a massive influx of devotees. Saints and Nagas from Haridwar, Kamakhya, Ujjain and different parts of India gather at Pashupatinath temple in Nepal on the occasion of Mahashivratri, as it is considered a powerful day for spiritual awakening. Devotees fast and offer water, flowers, garland, incense and fruits and sweets at the temple. The temple doors were opened as early as 2 a.m. on Wednesday to facilitate smooth worship arrangements. To manage the enormous crowd, Nepali Army, Nepal Police and the National Investigation Department have been deployed. Now, in a significant breakthrough, a team of experts engaged in rescuing the 8 workers trapped inside the partially collapsed tunnel in the Indian state of Telangana successfully reached the end of the tunnel. The rescue teams had previously managed to advance up to 50 meters before the tunnel's end, but were hindered by heavy muck and debris. However, a dedicated 20-member team comprising personnel from the National Disaster Response Force, State Disaster Response Force and specialized rat miners managed to push forward. Meanwhile, experts from the Geological Survey of India, GSI, who collected soil samples to assess stability and risk factors, have yet to submit their reports. The continuous inflow of silt and water poses an additional risk to the rescuers' lives, making the operation increasingly challenging. Some weather updates now. In India's Union Territory of Ladakh, Kargil district witnessed heavy snowfall today, with 4 to 5 inches of snow already recorded in Kargil town since morning and is still continuing. This marks a significant change in weather after a prolonged drought-like situation that had affected daily life and agriculture in the region. According to the latest weather advisory, snowfall is expected to intensify over the next 2 days, particularly in Kargil, Zanskar and parts of Leh, Nubra and Changthang. The western disturbance currently impacting Ladakh is likely to bring moderate to heavy snowfall until February 28. While the snowfall is welcome news for farmers and water conservation efforts, it has also raised concerns about road closures, avalanches and landslides in high altitude areas like Zojila Dras, Parkachek Rangdum, Khargon Dongla and Changla. Authorities have advised residents, travelers and tourists to avoid unnecessary travel and follow official traffic advisories. In Jammu and Kashmir, temperatures have dipped to minus 15 degrees Celsius, prompting warnings of heavy snowfall from India Meteorological Department. Fresh snowfall in the higher reaches and rainfall in the plains brought much needed relief to Union Territory on Tuesday following a prolonged precipitation deficit. IMD has forecasted continued wet conditions over the next 3 days as a western disturbance affects the region. It is expected that the temperatures may dip further, with precipitation percentage hovering around 94 to 95. Traffic and transport disruptions are expected in the region following Weather Department's advisory. In the northern state of Himachal Pradesh, fresh spell of snowfall in Kufri and light showers in Shimla and Bilaspur has prompted orange alert for 4 districts for heavy to very heavy rainfall on Wednesday and Thursday. According to the regional weather agency, rain and snow activity will pick up pace in the Himalayan state from Wednesday night, prompting thunderstorms and lightning at many places and may continue till the weekend. Let's take a look at other stories making news. Chief of the Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, is on a 4-day visit to France to bolster India-France defence cooperation. During his visit, General Dwivedi engaged with the 3rd Division of French Army at Fort, discussing the division's role in the future roadmap for bilateral exercise Shakti, scheduled to be held in France, further cementing the defence collaboration between India and France. In a major crackdown on illegal poppy cultivation in the northeastern state of Manipur in India, security forces conducted an operation on February 25. The operation targeted the hill ranges of Napai, destroying 35 acres of illegal poppy plantations worth approximately 3.9 crore. On February 25th, the Indian Army signed a 80.43 crore contract with L&T Limited for 223 automatic chemical agent detection and alarm systems, supporting India's self-reliance or Atmanirbhar initiative developed by DRDO in Gwalior. ACADA detects chemical warfare agents and toxic chemicals in the air. Dharma Guardian, a joint military exercise between India and Japan, kicked off at Mount Fuji. The exercise underscores the deepening defence ties between the two nations. Lead India's Paulumi Barman gets us this report.
In a significant milestone for India-Japan defence cooperation, the Dharma Guardian 2025 joint military exercise kicked off at Mount Fuji with over 300 army personnel from India and Japan. The Ambassador of India to Japan, His Excellency Mr. Shibi George, was present at the Itazuma military camp in Shizuoka to mark the beginning of this crucial event aimed at strengthening the military ties between India and Japan. The Dharma Guardian Exercise 2025 held right in front of Mount Fuji marks a new chapter in the enduring relationship between India and Japan. This exercise aims to pave way for a closer relationship between the armed forces of the two nations. This year marks the 6th edition of Dharma Guardian. This exercise, that was first conducted in 2018, aims to enhance tactical capabilities and strengthen mutual trust between the armed forces of both the nations. The exercise also focuses on joint training in various aspects of counter-terrorism operations.
Being here today at the foothills of Mount Fuji is an important step in further strengthening our excellent bilateral relationship. We share the common values of democracy, freedom, rule of law, and mutual respect, and a common vision for peace, stability, security, and prosperity in Indo-Pacific.
Lieutenant General Seiji Toriumi, commander of the JGSTF, mentioned that despite the language barrier between both the nations, there are several commonalities in the tactics and combat skills of counter-terrorism warfare.
装備が異なっても対テロ戦争の戦術、戦闘の技量に共通するものがたくさんあります。また、そのギャップを埋める本日からの実動訓練という貴重な機会を得ました。お互いに学び、教訓を得て、双方の能力を高め、信頼を築いていきたいと思います。
The ambassador also took the time to interact with the troops, engaging in conversations with the army personnel from both India and Japan. Their shared experience and dedication to the mission were evident as they shared their experience.
Very happy to participate in it. Japanese authorities have made very good arrangements for the exercises. This joint exercise is reflective of the growing confidence and trust between India and Japan. we have excellent relationship. We have a civilizational relationship, cultural connect, and of course, over the period of several decades, now we have developed into what we call is a special strategic and global partnership. And it is, as I said, it's an excellent relationship, political, business, people-to-people connect, of course, security and defense engagement. And this Dharma Guardian, along with the other exercises which we do, like the Veer Guardian between the Air Forces and the Malabar exercise, naval exercise, Coast Guard exercises. This Dharma Guardian exercise is very important. It helps us build on our trust and also enhance the interoperability of our two forces with the view to have excellent relationship and at the same time ensure safety, security and prosperity of Indo-Pacific and beyond.
The Dharma Guardian Exercise 2025 is expected to bolster the already strong defense relationship between India and Japan and reaffirm their shared commitment to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Report by Paulami Burman in Tokyo for DD India.
And let's see what's coming up next. In Champions Trophy 2025, England and Afghanistan face each other in knockout heat in Lahore. Andrei Rublev, Alex de Minaur face first round exit from Dubai Tennis Championship.
Timeless, boundless and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Maha Kumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that India's approach to Africa focuses on building long-term, mutually beneficial partnerships, adding that India believes in capacity building, skill development and technology transfer, ensuring that African countries not only benefit from investments but also develop self-sustaining growth ecosystems. The minister made this remark while virtually addressing the Japan-India-Africa Forum on Wednesday.
India's deep and long-standing engagement with Africa can make it a natural bridge, whether geographically or in the industrial value chain. With India set for continued rapid economic growth, it serves as an ideal hub for Japanese companies seeking to expand into Africa and the Middle East. Japanese investments, India's solid industrial base and digital capacities, and Africa's talent and consumption can come together to create beneficial outcomes for all stakeholders. India and Japan can also collaborate to strengthen resilient supply chains for African countries, particularly in critical and emerging sectors.
The Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 is underway in Assam's Guwahati. The summit was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday. On the second day of the summit, Minister of Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari addressed the gathering, saying Northeast and Assam are going to be the growth engine of India.
आसाम का विकास हो, आसाम में रोजगार की निर्मित हो, आसाम में विशेष रूप से बाढ़ के कारण जो नुकसान होता है उसके लिए कैसे प्रोटेक्ट किया जाए, आसाम का रोड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कैसे अच्छा बने, वाटर, पावर, ट्रांसपोर्ट, कम्युनिकेशन, जलमार्ग और जोगी-दोपा जैसे मल्टी मॉडल हब कैसे निर्माण हो, नए एयरपोर्ट, नए रेलवे स्टेशन, नई रेलवे लाइन कैसे आए हैं, इसके बारे में 2014 के बाद काफी बड़ा परिवर्तन हुआ है. नॉर्थ ईस्ट और आसाम अब हमारे देश का ग्रोथ इंजन बनने वाला है।
Dr. Venkatraman Anantha Nageshwaran, Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, has addressed the Indian diaspora in South Africa in a relaxed meeting about strengthening the economy and global partnerships towards Viksit Bharat 2047, an initiative aimed at realizing India's aspiration of becoming a developed nation by its centennial year of independence. DD India's Nazneen Ismail files this report.
Dr. Venkatraman Anantha Nageshwaran, Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, addressed the Indian diaspora in South Africa in a relaxed meeting starting off with a meditation session. His keynote address was about strengthening the economy and global partnerships towards Viksit Bharat 2047.
This theme is aptly trying to address that aspect also, the aspect on global partnerships that of course is related to our partner countries like South Africa, and the diaspora also, because they have a role to play, they have some contribution to make, and they also are in a way been encouraged by none other than Prime Minister himself through different initiatives that Prime Minister articulates. We in consulate and other consulates in Durban, Cape Town, and our High Commission, we always have been inviting our diaspora, our South African partners, to look towards India as a partner.
There is a major scheme announced for farming sector, crop diversification, etc., that will enable India's value addition coming from agriculture to rise to about 20% of GDP from the current 15 to 17% of GDP. Agricultural productivity is equally important. Therefore, experiences of countries in maintaining soil fertility, water management, and also for better farming practices is an important element of global partnership. What the Government of India has been trying to do in the last 10 years and will continue to do so in the next 10 years or so is to put in place the building blocks that will take us to Viksit Bharat, and whenever circumstances turn propitious, these efforts such as building infrastructure, deregulation, governance change, investing in education and skilling, making India's MSMEs a viable component of the economic system, all these things will eventually create the conditions for driving economic growth, taking the country towards its aspirational destination of being a developed nation by 2047.
We appreciate the insight of Dr. Nageshwaran here in South Africa. I'm Nazneen for DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Time now for sport updates, and Afghanistan skipper Hashmatullah Shahidi opted to bat first against England in a must-win Champions Trophy match for both teams in Lahore. England have made just one change, bringing Jamie Overton in place of injured Bryden Cars, while Afghanistan remained unchanged. Both teams are in a do-or-die situation as the loser will be eliminated from the tournament. The match sets up an exciting battle between England's powerful batting lineup and Afghanistan's skilled spinners. And a good news for South Africa, as skipper Temba Bavuma said that Henrik Klaasen has recovered from the elbow injury that kept him out of its Champions Trophy opener against Afghanistan. The Proteas were unsure if Klaasen would have been available to face Australia in their second match in Rawalpindi on Tuesday, but the game was abandoned without a ball being bowled. Klaasen could feature in South Africa's final Group B game against England in Karachi on Saturday. Bavuma said his team will rest for a couple of days before turning its attention to England. Kantan stunned third seed Andrei Rublev in the first round of the Dubai Tennis Championships on Tuesday. World number 9 Rublev has just recently won the Qatar Open on Saturday, and he was on a 5-match winning streak entering his Dubai opener. Alice will next take on Spain's Roberto Bautista Agut in the second round. Meanwhile, top seed Daniel Medvedev saw off Germany's Jan-Lennard Struff 6-4, 7-6 to avoid joining his Russian compatriot with an early exit. The 2021 US Open winner held firm on serve, saving all 4 breakpoints faced. Elsewhere, Marin Cilic upset Alex de Minaur 6-2, 3-6, 6-3 on Tuesday's knockout the second seed out of the championship in the first round for Chile. It's a first win against a top 10 ranked opponent since 2022 French Open. Chile will face Australia's Alexei Poprin in the second round. And Messi was on target again as Inter Miami surged into the last 16 of CONCACAF Champions Cup with 3-1 win over Sporting Kansas City on Tuesday night. Miami won the tie 4-1 on aggregate as it took Messi only 19 minutes to find the target in the return leg match. Miami doubled its advantage in the first minute of first half stoppage time when Messi sent Jordi Alba down the left, and Miami successfully made it 3-0 on the night and 4-0 on aggregate 2 minutes later. Miami will face Jamaican club Cavalier in the next round, and the first leg will be played in Florida in the first week of March. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.